Welcome to the course of wireless sensor networks. This is lecture number 17, and today we will be discussing some basic concepts related to network security, keeping in view the wireless sensor networks. I am your instructor, Zeeshan Bangash. So let's move to the outline of our today's discussion. So today, during our discussion, we will consider and discuss the topics related to some basics for securing a network, and we will discuss it keeping in view the wireless network security. Then we will try to understand the difference between network security and a computer security, or we can uh, talk about or discuss about what is node security if we are considering a wireless sensor network. And then there are some key concepts related to security, and we will discuss some level of impacts. And at the end, we will discuss some challenges and some requirements for establishing a secure infrastructure. And at the end, we will summarize our today's discussion. Before moving to the outline, when we consider a network, so a network has been defined as any set of interlinking lines resembling net, a network of nodes, or it may be an interconnected system that may be a network of lines. So, this definition suits our purpose. That's a computer network is simply a system interconnected uh, of computers or nodes. How they are connected is currently irrelevant. However, we will be talking about how these nodes uh, are integrated with each other. So, the basics of security is, as per the Sun Tzu, that it's basically the art of war that teaches us to rely not on the likelihood of the enemies not coming, but on our own readiness to receive him. So, this is his basic uh, concept about a secure system, that the evaluation of a secure system depends upon our readiness to receive any intruder, instead of uh, the likelihood of the enemies that is not coming. And it's basically not on the chance of his not attacking, that's but rather on the fact that we have made our position unaccessible. So this is basically the philosophy behind the secure model, is that whether you are in an environment where uh, there is a lot of challenges, a security challenges, so the measure of the a secure model or an architecture, that depends upon the readiness of your service. You will not rely on that the intruder or the attacker may attack your system, or it's not attacking, but that depends upon your readiness, that how you are prepared, how your system is live, how the secure mechanisms are implemented, and is implementing uh, is implemented and is countering throughout the phenomena to be observed in wireless sensor networks. Now, Another uh, definition or concept related to security is that this security is a combination of space, time, and strength. These are considered as some of the basic element of a defense, and that make this a complicated matter. Um, Consequently, if the space, time, and strength are one of the key factors, are considered as the key factor for a defense, uh, it is not easy to find a fixed point of departure. So this is another famous saying on Carl Wall Clausewitz, that's about the security or the defense system. So the philosophy of designing any software lies in the two sayings which we have already discussed. Now, what is computer security? So we talked about general security in detail, and we discussed two philosophies. So let's discuss the computer security. So the protection offered to an automated information system in order to attain the application objectives of preserving. So what are to be preserved? The three important things: the integrity, the availability, and the confidentiality of an information system. Resources. And what are the resources? The resources includes the hardware, the software, the firmware, the data which is of key important, and the telecommunications. So this is the basic concept behind a computer security, that the three things needs to be ensured. You have to ensure the integrity of the data, or the of the resources, and you need the availability of the resources, so that, and you need the confidentiality of the resources. So these three key concepts needs to be a mandatory for securing a computer or securing a node. And one important thing, that when we are going to define a resource, so the resource includes, has a broad meaning. It includes the network resources, it includes your hardware, your specifications, how these specification will be used. These specifications in case of wireless sensor networks are very limited. So optimal use is of key importance. Similarly, the software or the operating system or the firmware that is to be used, and the data and the correctness and precision of the data, that is of key important. And again, the communication system. So we have to ensure the integrity, the availability, and confidentiality of these things. So what are these three terms we'll be discussing in the coming slide in more details. So when we see this diagram, so it's a triangle. We already discussed the trica of the security concepts, that comprise of an integrity, the confidentiality, and the availability of the data and the services that are in the uh, data and services, or that are generated or rendered in that in an application. So the confidentiality, integrity, and availability that have to be ensured for the data and the services of that system, so that will make overall system a secure system. So the first thing is the confidentiality. Now, the confidentiality have again two meanings, that it is either data confidentiality and the privacy. So what this confidentiality means, that the data that is generated have limitation of its availability to one destination or to some destinations. So the data, this means that whatever data you have generated, you have the right to limit the scope of that data to be available to or to be taken away by specific uh, nodes or specific terminals. So the privacy of the data that needs to be maintained. So this is the first concept that is related to the confidentiality. Integrity. Now, integrity is that the data that is generated that may not be altered at multiple places, and that must be altered with the with the permission of the source that have generated it. And similarly, the system integrity means that the system may be producing precise information. So this is another key objective of a secure environment. And the third thing is the availability, that the data needs to be, or the system needs to be live and giving services all the time. It may not be suspended for a temporary reason. So the services may be available to all the destination all the time, and all the efforts needs to be ensured to be taken place to make this system live and available all the time. And the other additional concepts that's related to the authenticity, that you have whatever whoever is coordinated or communicating, you need to authenticate the validity of that destination, or validity of that node that's trying to access data or trying to communicate. And similarly, the accountability, that how much services whoever is used. So these are some additional concepts that needs to be incorporated in a secure environment. Now, the level of impacts. So there are three level of impacts from a security breach, and we can classify it as either it's a low or a moderate, or it may be a high. So example of security uh, requirements, if for the first concept like confidentiality, is the student grades. So whenever that grade has been assigned to a student, so that needs to be confidential. That students may be given the grading book either in a sealed envelope, so that only this data may be received by that particular student, or it may be sent to his or her private email IDs or private IDs, uh, so that the confidentiality of that data needs to be maintained. And similarly, for uh, if in terms of the integrity, let's consider a patient information. Now, if the patient information lie at multiple doctors and is taken from one location and stored at multiple places, so if there is any change at a a particular location, that there any doctor have made any modifications, so so integrity constraint uh, forces that the changes needs to be incorporated at all the location where that data resides, so that the integrity of that information needs to be maintained, and that information must be valid for that particular time to all the location. So in this way, the integrity needs to be ensured. And similarly, the availability means that for example, the authentication service, it's an example of the availability, that uh, the source or the destination which are requesting any service, that needs to be authenticated through username and password in order to ensure the availability. So this is another example of the third key concept of the security model. Now, computer security challenges are that it's not simple. This topic and these mechanisms are not simple. So that needs a lot of challenges to be addressed. And similarly, we need to consider some potential attacks that are vulnerable for any system. So that needs to be addressed in that secure model. And third important challenge is that we need to uh, procedures that can be used to counter intuitives. So this is the third most important aspects to be considered. Similarly, we need to involve some algorithm to analyze the overall network, and we need to get that secret information. Uh, we need to decide uh, in the overall network where the mechanisms and at which place these mechanisms needs to be employed, and it's basically one of the most philosophical statement that it's basically the battle of wits between attacker and an admin. So whoever overcome this battle uh, is able to either intrude into the system or make the system a secure. So and the seventh challenge is that it's not perceived on benefit until it fails. And the key is basically that you need to require regular monitoring of the complete network and the data, and after your analysis a proper steps needs to be taken. And the ninth one is that it's too often an afterthought. Whatever happens, the security of the system is breached. So thereafter, you comes to know that your system is compromised. So this is another challenge that you whenever your system have been attacked and damage have been done, then there is a thought to how to secure or to make this system secure for future. And the 10th challenge is that it is regarded as impedient to using system. So we talked about basic security, we talked about computer security, we talked about some key security concepts like confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Then we talked about some three levels of impact that are from low, moderate, and high. And at the end, we discussed some 10 challenges for securing a wireless sensor network or any network. And we talked that securing securing internet, that internet is world's largest network of networks. So uh, whenever there is any integration of any type of network within internet, so you are in front of a thousand and a big environment from where anyone can intrude and damage your security. uh, and similarly, when we consider network security, that this network security consists of policies and practices that are basically adopted to prevent and monitor uh, unauthorized access, the misuse of the system, any modification of the in the system, or any denial of a computer network. That's the availability issue. And the most important thing which we keep in when we are talking about wireless sensor network is the network accessibility resources and its access, because the resources are very limited on wireless sensor networks. So the network security involves basically the authorization of access to data in a network, and that is controlled by some admin node, or if in case of a traditional network, some network administrator that continuously monitor this. So this network security covers a variety of computer networks that are both public and private. So, the most common and simple way of protecting a network resource is by assigning a unique ID or some key mechanism so that the usage of that resource needs to be authenticated, and the information needs to be communicated, that whoever is using how much resource and whether he or whether this node have the permission to utilize the resources. So with this, that comes to end of our today's discussion. So this is the reference from which the content has been taken. So take care. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.